This is episode number 35 of Mystery Meats Fine Dining Podcast. Welcome to Atlanta.
This is Mystery Meats Fine Dining Podcast, helping foodies discover new restaurants and new friends. Here's your host, the founder of Mystery Meat, Seth Ressler.
Hello, and welcome to Mystery Meats Fine Dining Podcast. This is the podcast for foodies who love travel and travelers who love food. Here's how it works. Every week, we pick a new town, new city, new place on the map, and we talk to somebody who really knows the culinary scene there, and we find out the ins and outs of that place. And this week, we have our very first return guest on Mystery Meats Fine Dining Podcast. We are welcoming back Hope Philbrook from down in Georgia. Hope, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm excited to talk to you because you obviously were launching Getaways for Grown-Ups last time we talked. So we're going to check in with you and see how that's doing. And then you're talking about a great event that's happening down there. It's the Vidalia Onion Festival. And in particular, you're involved with one of the components of that event, which is the second annual Golden Onion Contest. So we're going to talk to you about that. And then we're going to play. And this is your second time playing this game out of the frying pan. We're going to get some rapid fire recommendations from you. First of all, Hope, talk to us about Getaways for Grown-Ups. You were just getting this up off the ground last time we talked. For people who haven't heard that episode, what exactly is it?
Well, it's an online magazine that's aimed at an audience of readers who are age 21 and older. And the mission of the magazine is to focus on places to go, things to do and see and experience that are aimed at adults.
This is more than just food that this site encompasses, right? I mean, you've got a lot of different things going on here.
Well, I write about travel, food, wine, and spirits, so no coincidence. A lot of the articles are about those subjects. And so it's a travel magazine, and a lot of the food articles are related to culinary travel. So there's restaurant reviews and articles about destinations that are food-oriented.
All right, you know how we start. Actually, I don't even think we started this way last time you were on the podcast. This is new. We start with a trivia question, and you have one for me.
So my trivia question for you is, what's the official prepared food of Georgia?
What's the official prepared food of Georgia? So not something that's raw, not something, I can't just say peaches.
Right. Not something that you can plant and grow. It's the official prepared food of Georgia.
Does it use an official Georgia ingredient or something that would be a signature Georgia ingredient, like a peach or a Vidalia onion or something like that?
Well, it does use something that grows.
Okay. Well, that narrows it down. So it's not concrete. All right. I'm going to think about that for a little bit, and we're going to come back to it. In the meantime, let's talk about this ingredient that you mentioned, the Vidalia onion. I know that this is very special to the people of Georgia, this particular onion. So for people who don't know, tell me a little bit about what it is.
Well, it's a sweet onion. And it is very cool, I think, because it is an exclusive agricultural product for the state of Georgia. So to be a Vidalia onion, you have to grow in a specific defined region. They've done soil tests and they've determined where, that the region it's an area that touches 20 counties in Georgia. It's not 20 full counties. 7 of the counties are the whole county is in, and then the other parts of the area touch the other counties. So it's kind of complicated.
So this is like the champagne of onions, then?
Exactly. It's exactly like champagne, because in order to be champagne, you have to come from this specific area of France. Otherwise, you're a sparkling wine. So, right.
So that's the onion. And there's actually this Vidalia Onion Festival that goes on in Vidalia. Vidalia is also a city there in Georgia, correct?
Well, a city would be a stretch. But yes, there is a community that bears the name Vidalia, Georgia.
There's a row of houses.
It's very small. There actually is a very cute Vidalia Onion Museum that's there. And there's a Walmart and there's a few shops. But
well, if it's got a Walmart, it's a city. I mean, isn't that the definition of a city?
It's a town, but and I haven't actually looked at the map this morning to verify, but I think it's somewhat in the middle of this area that we talked about that has the right kind of soil.
And where is Vidalia exactly that this festival takes place?
It's in South Georgia, and it's about an hour from Savannah.
Okay.
But inland, so it's not on the coast.
Yep.
It's about a 3-hour, 4-hour, depending on traffic, drive from Atlanta.
And the Vidalia Food Festival has been going on for quite a while. I mean, I was taking a look at the website. This looks like a big deal.
Right. This year is going to be the 36th annual Vidalia Onion Festival. And it happens at harvest season. So, like, think of wine out in California. They have all kinds of wine festivals in the fall because that's when you harvest the grapes to make wine. Well, Vidalia onions get harvested in April. So that's why the festival takes place in April. And the festival started 36 years ago, and it's grown such that it's such a big festival for the community. It has a lot of different components to it, and not all of them are related to food. There's a children's parade, a concert, a rodeo. There's just all kinds of things that are part of the festival.
And it lasts several days, correct?
Right. It actually is the weekend following Golden Onion, which is the food component we're going to talk about more in a minute. But the Golden Onion is on Sunday, April 14th, and then the weekend after that is when most of the other fun stuff is going on. The races and there's going to be an air show. And
all right, so for a small community, there's really a lot going on here.
This is the big festival for them of the year, definitely.
I mean, do people come in from all over the South? Do they come in from all over the U.S.? Like, where do people come in when they come in for this festival?
I would guess that if you looked at this, about 35,000 people come. And if you looked at the statistics, it would probably be, most of the locals go. And then if you broke it down, probably most of the attendees are Southerners, but certainly not limited to Southerners. And I will tell you that the event has been featured on the Food Network, and it's recognized as one of the 5 Don't Miss festivals across the U.S. by MSNBC.
35,000. Can I just say something? That's a lot of people for one Walmart.
It is. So if you want to attend next year, you should probably book your hotel because it's going to sell out. Yeah. So a lot of times people might actually stay in Savannah, which is, like I said, an hour away, but then drive in for the events that they want to go to.
That brings up a good point. I mean, if this is a small community, are hotel rooms hard to get for this? Do you really have to book in advance?
Well, if you want to be right in Vidalia, yeah, you would definitely need to book in advance. I mean, now some of those are locals, and some people are maybe staying with their cousins or their friends or whatever. But yeah, if you're coming from far away out of town and don't know anyone, you'd probably want to plan ahead. I'm
a big camper. I love camping. Can you do that at this time of year in Georgia?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it would be a nice time of year to do it because it wouldn't be too hot yet and it's not too cold.
So that's the Vidalia Food Festival, and like you said, there is this first component that you're very involved with that's called the Golden Onion Competition. This is the second annual. This is the second year you've done this now?
Right. This will be the second time. Last year was the inaugural. And it started because actually, you're like me. You assume that the Vidalia Onion Festival has a lot to do with food. And in fact, if you look at the list of activities, a lot of them actually don't have much to do with food. I mean, they might serve food at the concert, just like they serve popcorn at movies, but it's not really about the food. So I had always assumed that it had a larger food component than it actually does now. So what I did was I pitched the idea for Golden Onion.
Yep.
And then they thought it was a great idea. And then it grew from that.
Oh, so it's all yours. Okay, so we're going to come back and we're going to talk to you about the Golden Onion competition in just a moment. Plus, we're going to get an answer to your trivia question. We're going to find out what the official prepared dish of Georgia is. So we'll be back in just a second. Before we get back to Hope and her onions, first I want to tell you about Taste Trekkers. This is going to be the nation's first food tourism conference. This is an event specifically designed for anybody who plans their vacations around food. If that's you, if you've ever planned a vacation on going to a series of wineries, or maybe checking out some of the best Michelin star restaurants you can find, or looking for just the best barbecue in the South, whatever it is, this is an event for you. And we are trying to launch it this fall in Providence, Rhode Island. We've got a ton of chefs and beer brewers and winemakers lined up to speak about the different cuisines and beverages from their regions. We've got culinary walking tours. We've got a cocktail reception where you can come in and mingle with other foodies who are adventurous like you. We've got a tasting pavilion where you can wander around and sample foods from all different regions. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're really excited about it. But, and there's a big but, we need your help. We have a Kickstarter project launched in order to raise the capital for this event, but time is running out. In fact, it may already be too late depending on when you're listening to this, but maybe not. We are really close to the goal. We have less than $2,000 left to raise, and we've got just over a day to do it, probably less by the time you're hearing this. So do me a favor, head over to Taste Trekkers, TasteTrekkers.com. Check it out. Click over to the link to the Kickstarter campaign. Please make a pledge, make a donation. Let's make this event happen. The nation's first food tourism conference. It's going to be a lot of fun. We are talking to Hope Philbrick of Getaways for Grownups. She runs that website, and you've also got a lot of other things going on. I mean, you're writing like 150 bylined articles a year, is that right?
I keep busy.
You are very busy, and most of them about food or also about travel?
I'd say an even mix of food and travel-related pieces.
And we're going to dig into the second annual Golden Onion competition, but before we do, you asked me a trivia question. What was it again?
What's the official prepared food of Georgia?
The official prepared food of Georgia. Is it a meat dish? Is it a plant-based dish? What?
It's plant-based, and if you want a hint, I mean, we are in the South.
Yeah, that gives me a couple of ideas. I mean, it could be something like grits.
There you go.
It is grits?
Yep.
Really? Okay, so grits of any sort, no particular type of grits?
Well, it's the official prepared food of Georgia, so grits. I don't know how they came upon this decision or designation. But, I think they were probably thinking of something that you can buy at the grocery store and then prepare at home.
And for people who don't know, I mean, tell me exactly what grits is. I mean...
Well, they're ground hominy of corn. So you grow corn and then you turn it into hominy and then you grind it up and then you have grits. And it may be, I would have to do more research and I don't want to sound like an idiot on this podcast, but...
Right, that's my job.
But it may also sometimes be ground corn. I'd have to verify that it's always hominy or sometimes corn. But
and my understanding is that grits, really good grits, takes on the flavor of whatever is mixed in with it. Is that correct?
Well, it always has I would say a base or foundation background note of corn. But yes, once you make your grit, which it takes a long time to cook a good pot of grits because you're cooking them slowly and stirring almost constantly. But once you get them done, then you can stir in additives. So some people like jalapenos, cheese, smoked tomatoes, whatever. And then it adds more flavor, and they're fantastic.
What's your favorite way to do grits? Yeah.
Shrimp and grits is probably my favorite southern dish.
All right, I didn't know that. Grits, the official prepared food of Georgia. Let's get into the second annual Golden Onion competition. And you were saying that this was actually, you came up with the concept.
Right, and it was one of those situations where I had assumed that it already existed. I think I moved to Georgia from Minnesota several years ago, and then I had a corporate job and everything. And then once I started freelancing and started to write about food and travel, at some point I had an assignment to write about festivals. I started to look into the Vidalia Onion Festival, mainly because I had assumed it was a food festival. And when I was at the website looking at the list of activities, few had anything to do with food. And that just surprised me, and I felt like that was a missed opportunity.
Yep.
And then as I, gained more knowledge and experience in tourism and in the culinary world, I really came to think that was a big missed opportunity. And so once I met the appropriate people, I started to talk to them about how we could do something more food-related during the Vidalia Onion Festival. And I came up with the idea for the Golden Onion Professional Cooking Competition.
In other words, you went to them and you said, hey guys, you have this Vidalia Onion, festival that you do. I've got an idea. Why don't we cook Vidalia onions? And they said, hey, we've been doing this for 34 years, and that never occurred to us. That's a good idea. Let's do that. That's how the conversation went.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, yeah, they do have a recipe competition where it's really the locals there make something at home in their own kitchen, and then they bring enough for the judges and people that buy tickets to taste. So there was that, I'll say, amateur cook level, and then there is a all-you-can-eat sweet onion contest, and it's for kids. And they get the little bulbs of the little young onions, and then there's a time limit, and whichever kid eats the most in the shortest, or in that time limit, then they win. So they had that, but those were the two food components of this whole festival that lasted for 4 days and had, pages long a list of activities.
So your concept was really to bring in some professional chefs to really show off what they could do.
Exactly, because Georgia is the New York of the South. I mean, we've got some of the best chefs. And the other thing about travel writers, I travel all over Georgia, and though Atlanta certainly is, a culinary capital and has some of the greatest restaurants, arguably, in the nation and world, you can go to little towns in Georgia and discover that, wow, they have really good chefs too. And I thought it would be kind of fun to give a level playing field to all the chefs, and they could come and show off, at one central location. And then the other thing is that the whole local food movement is huge nowadays, and there is no food more local than the Vidalia onion in Georgia, since it's our exclusive product.
And so these are chefs from all over the state of Georgia who come in for this.
Right. We've got room for 12 chefs, and so chefs from across the state come in, and they can show us, and then each chef has 1 hour to prepare their recipe. And then they make 8 plates of that recipe, and then they present it to the judges. And then the judges will, at the end of the whole event, name the top 3 finalists.
And who are the judges?
There's a panel of 5 judges. There's Executive Chef Holly Shute, who is the chef at the Georgia Governor's Mansion.
Wow.
There's Chef Hillary White, who's the chef and owner of The Hill, which is a restaurant at Serenbe in Chattahoochee Hills, Georgia. And she's actually the person who won the first place of the Golden Onion last year.
Okay.
Then we have Chef Ahmad Nourzad of Affairs to Remember Caterers in Atlanta, and Bob Stafford, who's director of the Vidalia Onion Business Council, and then me.
Ah!
I'm the person who
I see why you created this event. So that's sort of your grandfathered in every year. You get to come in and you get to judge. I see what it's all about. All right, and what are these chefs competing for? What can they win?
There is a cash prize. The top prize is $500, and then the big prize is that they win the Golden Onion Trophy. And when you win that trophy, you get to keep it in your restaurant for the year.
So people can actually go get the recipes from last year's competition, for example, and try cooking them at home.
Well, that book is all sold out.
Oh, it's limited edition.
But if you come to the Golden Onion to be a spectator, the tickets are $10 in advance and $15 at the door, and included in the ticket price, it will be the booklet with all 12 recipes in there.
Oh, that's great. Can you tell me a little bit about the recipe that won last year?
Yes, the recipe last year, Chef Hillary White won, and again, she's a judge this year. She made a caramelized Vidalia onion fritter with Serenbe Farm vegetable slaw and mustard vinaigrette.
That sounds good. All right, so let's talk about the chefs who are competing this year. Who are our 12?
The first chef is Chef Nemo Albume, and he is owner and executive chef of Emmy Restaurant Group, which operates Red Pepper Taqueria, Cold Brew Sports Bar and Grill, and Cold Brew's Oyster Bar in Atlanta, Georgia. So
not all of the chefs are from necessarily white tablecloth restaurants.
Right. It's very much a cross-section of the cuisine of Georgia. So really, we open up the entry period, and chefs from across the state who are lead chefs at freestanding restaurants are eligible to apply. And the hope is we would get a good cross-section because that best represents Georgia.
Okay, good.
The next chef is Chef Daniel Chance, who's executive chef of Campagnolo restaurant in Atlanta, and that is an Italian restaurant that just opened about a year ago now.
So his restaurant's fairly new, and we expect he'll probably do an Italian dish with it then, I would guess?
But I don't actually know, because it's not a requirement that the dish that you make be on your menu. And so it's kind of a chance for somebody, maybe some chef is going to show off, make something that's different than what they make at their restaurant.
Okay. Who else have we got?
Chef Linda Harrell, who is executive chef and partner of Cibo e Beve restaurant, which is in Sandy Springs, Georgia, and that's near Atlanta. And that's another Italian restaurant.
Okay. Tell me about Chef Brian Jones. Who's he?
He is chef de cuisine for the Atlanta Grill at the Ritz-Carlton, Atlanta. And he actually did compete last year, so he's a returnee.
All right. Back for more. Did he place last year?
No, but the dish he made was really good. It was actually one dish that I liked a lot, and I thought that he should put it on the menu. I don't know if he did. Maybe it was a spoon bread. Maybe it was a little too casual for the Ritz-Carlton, but it was really good.
All right, and you've got another Brian there as well.
Yes, Chef Brian Justice. He's chef and owner of Tasteful Temptations Cafe in Brunswick, Georgia. He's new to the competition. He did not compete last year. And actually, an interesting thing about that restaurant, it's actually located in the airport in Brunswick, Georgia.
Really?
Yeah. And I have not been to the airport in Brunswick, Georgia, but I would anticipate that it's very small.
Okay.
And it may only operate small planes.
I mean, you really are getting people from all over the state here.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, Brunswick is South Georgia, and it's near the coast. It's the gateway to the Golden Isles.
Who's Chef John Mark Lane?
He is executive chef of Elements Bistro and Grill in Lyons, Georgia. And if you want to think of Vidalia as a city, then Lyons, Georgia is the twin city of Vidalia. They're right by each other.
Yeah, but do they have their own Walmart? I mean, that's what we really want to know.
No. If you live in Lyons and you want to go to Walmart, you better drive to Vidalia.
Right. They've got a Sears. I mean, come on. That's not the same thing.
And Elements is a really good restaurant. I've actually eaten there a couple times before, and he competed last year. And that's probably the best restaurant in Lyons, Vidalia area. I can't imagine that those communities can support two fine dining restaurants. So I can say with some confidence his is the only one.
So he's the home team then?
Yes, he's the home team guy.
All right. What about Savannah? You got some Savannah representation?
Savannah, Chef Roberto Lioce. He is the chef and owner of Liocci's Trattoria in Savannah. And he's new to the competition this year. And his restaurant's Italian, and he's Italian.
Good. Who else we got?
Chef Kira Moritz, who is chef and owner of Steel Magnolias in Valdosta, Georgia. And she used to work at an Italian restaurant, but Steel Magnolias is an urban southern restaurant.
All right. Who else have we got?
Chef Austin Ricconi, who's executive chef for Levine Restaurant in Monteluce in Dahlonega. Monteluce is a winery in Dahlonega, Georgia, and Dahlonega, this will be our northernmost restaurant this year in the competition. Actually, Dahlonega is where the gold rush was back in the day. There was a gold rush in Georgia.
I was just, I thought that was California. I didn't know.
Well, before they made it all the way west, they had probably several little gold rushes along the way.
All right. So, and you've got a winery represented. That's great. Mm-hmm. Is there a lot of wine coming out of Georgia?
There is. I don't know where we rank. I mean, we're not the number one state, obviously. But yeah, there's more and more wineries opening up every year. And for my palate, the North Georgia wineries, they make good wines that are the drier style.
Yep.
South Georgia also makes wine, but they're going to tend to be the sweet muscadine native grape wine.
Who else have we got on the chef list?
Chef Michael Shutters, who's executive chef and food service director at the Pilot House Grill Restaurant at George T. Bagby State Park and Lodge in Fort Gaines, Georgia. Mm-hmm. So Fort Gaines is over by the Alabama border. And this is cool that he's from the state parks, showing off the state park system here in Georgia. And
then we've got Dave Snyder.
Yes, he's a returning competitor. And he's chef and owner of Halyards in Chermici in St. Simon's Island, Georgia.
And then this last name I recognize, and that's Chef Mark Taft. He came in and did a tweet chat for us a few months ago talking about the farm-to-table movement. So tell me a little bit about Chef Taft.
Oh, that's great. Well, he is actually another returning competitor, and he's the chef and owner of Chicken and the Egg restaurant in Marietta, Georgia. And he's also the executive chef and general manager of the Mill Kitchen and Bar in Roswell that just opened.
So those are the 12. Those are the guys who are competing to make the best dish.
Ladies.
And ladies. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Now, do other people who attend, do they get to taste, or is there anything for them to, like...
Well, this isn't a tasting event, and I'm glad you asked about that. And the reason for that is that the chefs have an hour. So if hundreds of people came in an hour, they don't have time to make food and plate it for hundreds of people. Plus, it helps keep their costs down that they're making 8 portions. But last year they made 6 portions. This year we asked them to make 8, and the reason is that those other 2 are going to be raffled off.
Okay, and for everybody else, this is more about watching these chefs work and watching them cook. And
Right, and it's better than Top Chef or one of those other shows on TV because you can actually talk to the chef, you can ask them questions, you can see what they're doing face to face, you can smell it, see it, and then out in the parking lot there's going to be food vendors selling. We have locked in one of the most popular things for the Vidalia Onion Festival are the Vidalia onion rings that get sold, and so one of those vendors is going to be there to sell some of the Vidalia onion rings out in the parking lot. So you won't go hungry for sure.
That's exciting. So that is the second annual Golden Onion Competition. How many people are going to show up to that event?
It's in the Vidalia Onion Community Center, and we could easily have several hundred people, and there'd be plenty of room.
All right, are you ready to play a little game again?
Sure.
All right. All right, this game is called Out of the Frying Pan. You have played it before. Here's how it works. I am going to ask you for a series of rapid-fire recommendations. Just tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Here we go.
Okay.
Even though the festival is happening down there in Vidalia, we're actually going to cover the Atlanta area because I think that's where a lot of people are from, and that's where you're based. So you mentioned shrimp and grits, that's one of your favorite dishes. Where is your favorite place to get shrimp and grits?
Ooh, that's kind of a loaded question. Well, let me say that every chef has their own recipe, and I think one of the fun things is trying all the different variations because it's just kind of a simple thing, and it's amazing how many chefs can make it different. But I'm going to go with Food 101, and actually, coincidentally, Chef Justin Keith was the second place winner of Golden Onion last year, and he's the chef at that restaurant.
What about dessert? And you actually mentioned, I think last time that we talked about the Vidalia onion, that you can make dessert with it.
Right. Actually, the second time I ate at Elements Grill, which is in the one in Lyons, Georgia, that we just talked about, that chef, he made a dessert that was a cheesecake that had caramelized Vidalia onions on the top of it, which was very surprising. That's Chef John Mark Lane at Elements Bistro and Grill in Lyons, Georgia.
Let's talk about something very different. Asian food. Do you have a favorite Asian restaurant in the city of Atlanta?
Well, my favorite style of Asian food is Thai food.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite Thai is probably the first one I ever went to shortly after we moved to Georgia, which is, it's called Fujihana Thai Peppers. And it's up in Kennesaw, Georgia. I love that.
And then if somebody's going out on a first date, where would you tell them to go?
Well, this is a little outside of the box, but I'm going to say Cinebistro. And Cinebistro, it has a feature. It's been featured on Getaways for Grown-Ups because it's a movie theater where they serve food. But it's not just movie theater food like hot dogs and popcorn and french fries. I mean, you can get like a really upscale food there. And the reason it's on Getaways for Grown-Ups is because it's adults only in the evening. But I would say for a first date, that would be cool because then you can watch the movie and then you can go out afterwards and talk. It gives you something to talk about. Whereas otherwise, if you were just staring at each other, you might run out of things to say.
You've been on some of my dates, have you?
I find it hard to believe you run out of things to say.
I like that concept. That's a very cool concept. All right, last question. Where is your favorite place to go for brunch in the city of Atlanta?
I'm going to say Murphy's, which is in Virginia Highlands. And there's so many good brunch places, and actually Atlanta Magazine has a feature. I think they named 60 brunch places.
Wow.
So there's a lot of options, but I like Murphy's in Virginia Highlands, which is convenient to where I live, but also it's just a homey southern place where they have really good pastries and really good food.
All right, there we go. Hope Philbrick, you are one of the judges at the second annual Golden Onion Competition. It's happening April 14th in Vidalia, Georgia. Tickets are $10 in advance, or you can get them for $15 at the door, and people can find out more about the entire Vidalia Onion Festival at vidaliaonionfestival.com. Hope, if people want to follow you on social media or find you on the web, how can they do that?
Well, if they will go to getawaysforgrownups.com, there's all the information there.
Well, thank you. Congratulations on Getaway for Grownups. I know it's been going on for a couple months, and you're off to a great start, so congratulations on that. And this Golden Onion competition sounds like a lot of fun, so best of luck with the event, and let us know who wins, and thank you so much for talking to us about it.
Thank you. I'll definitely let you know who wins.
My name is Seth Ressler. This is the Fine Dining Podcast. Couple of show notes. Taste Trekkers, the Food Tourism Conference, nation's first food tourism conference. We are launching that in Providence, Rhode Island in September. You can find all the information at tastetrekkers.com. Mystery Meat. Want to make sure everybody knows about this. We do these social dinners. We're doing them in Boston, San Francisco, St. Louis, Seattle. Basically, it's a bunch of foodies get together to try a restaurant, but they don't know where they're going in advance. If you want to go, head over to Mystery Meat, MEET,